total shock. Face screaming in fear. Fire. Demet Özdemir has just confirmed what millions of fans had been whispering about for years, and her words about Yaman have left the entire world stunned. For so long, the rumors, the speculation, and the endless gossip painted a picture of a love story that was left unfinished. But now, in a powerful and emotional confession, Demet has finally put the truth into words, and fans can't believe what they've heard. The moment came during an interview that seemed, at first, to be about her new projects and her career. But when the conversation turned to her past and the people who shaped her life, Demet's expression changed. Her eyes grew heavy with emotion, her voice softened, and then, with a deep breath, she admitted, "Yaman was not just part of my journey, he was part of me. And yes, everything people have said, everything they've suspected, it was real." The interviewer froze. The crew behind the cameras exchanged glances. And in that instant, Demet confirmed what countless fans had always believed but never thought she would say out loud. This wasn't rumor anymore. This wasn't speculation. This was the truth, spoken directly from her lips. Social media went into meltdown within minutes. Hashtags like #Demet confirms, #CanYamanTruth, and #TotalShock trended worldwide. TikTok filled with emotional edits pairing Demet's words with her most iconic moments alongside Instagram flooded with fan art, photos, and emotional captions like "True love never dies" and "She finally admitted it." But what made her words even more powerful was the emotion behind them. Demet didn't speak like a celebrity making headlines. She spoke like a woman carrying the weight of love and memory in her heart. Her lips trembled, her eyes glistened, and her voice cracked when she said his name. Fans immediately recognized the vulnerability in her tone, proof that these weren't scripted lines. This was raw, unfiltered truth. The media seized the moment with explosive headlines. In Italy, newspapers ran with, "Demet Özdemir confirms love story with Yaman, fans in tears." Turkish outlets asked the burning question, "Will Can finally respond?" And everywhere else, the narrative was clear, Demet's confession had reignited the most powerful celebrity love story in years. Behind the noise, however, one truth became impossible to ignore. Demet Özdemir didn't just confirm rumors. She reopened a chapter of her life that millions thought was closed forever. And with just a few trembling words, she left Yaman, the fans, and the entire entertainment world facing a question no one could answer: what happens next? The aftermath of Demet Özdemir's confession was immediate and overwhelming. Within hours, her words had spread across every corner of the internet, creating a storm of reactions that no one could contain. Fans who had long debated whether the love story between Demet and Can was real suddenly felt vindicated. Others were left in shock, asking why she chose to reveal the truth now, after so many years of silence. On Twitter, one fan wrote, "I knew it. Every look, every smile, every scene, they weren't just acting. She finally admitted it." Another added, "If she's saying this now, then something must have changed. Maybe Can will finally answer her." The comments multiplied by the thousands, turning Demet's confession into a global event. Meanwhile, the press in both Turkey and Italy went into overdrive. Italian magazines plastered her face on the front pages with bold headlines like "Demet confirms the secret love" and "Her words shaped Yaman's world." Turkish tabloids dissected every second of her interview, pointing out the way her eyes filled with tears, the pause she took before saying his name, and the trembling of her hands as she spoke. Every gesture, every expression was treated as evidence of a love that had never truly died. But perhaps the most shocking reaction came not from fans or journalists, but from Yaman himself, or rather, his silence. Normally quick to share updates on social media, Can went completely quiet in the hours and days following Demet's interview. For many, this silence spoke louder than words. If he wanted to deny it, he would have already, one fan commented. The fact that he hasn't means it's true. Speculation only intensified when Can was spotted by paparazzi in Rome, looking pensive and distracted. He sat alone in a cafe, staring at his phone for several minutes, before leaving abruptly with his hood pulled up. The photos instantly went viral, with captions like, "Thinking of her," and "The truth hit him hard." Whether or not those assumptions were true didn't matter. The image of Can's solitude was enough to convince millions that Demet's confession had reached him. Behind the headlines, one theme began to emerge: unfinished business. Fans argued that the confession wasn't just about the past, it was about the present. By confirming everything, Demet wasn't closing a chapter. She was opening a door. Her words weren't only for the public, they were for Can too. Television analysts and relationship experts were invited onto talk shows to weigh in. One psychologist said, "This is not closure." When someone confirms something so deeply personal after years of silence, it means those emotions are still alive. Another added, "Demet is reaching out, intentionally or not." And now the question is, will Can respond? The possibility of a reunion, once just a fantasy for fans, suddenly seemed real. Edits began circulating with the hashtag Can and Demet reunite, filled with old photos of the two stars and hopeful captions like, "It's never too late for true love." In that moment, one thing was clear. Demet Özdemir's confession had done more than confirm old rumors. It had reignited one of the most powerful love stories in modern celebrity culture, leaving fans desperate to know what would happen next. As the world continued to react to Demet Özdemir's bombshell confession, the focus shifted to what this meant for her and Can Yaman moving forward. Was this her way of finding closure, or was it a message meant directly for him? For millions of fans, the answer seemed obvious: she still cared. Clips of Demet's interview began circulating side by side with old footage of her and Can together, behind-the-scenes moments, red carpet appearances, and unforgettable scenes from her Kensi Kuss. Fans layered her words over romantic music, creating emotional edits that quickly went viral. One TikTok video showing Demet whispering it was real while scenes of her and Can played in the background gained over 5 million views in just 48 hours. The comment section was flooded with messages like, "We knew it, and she never stopped loving him." Meanwhile, Turkish television panels debated the meaning behind her confirmation. Some journalists insisted it was a form of closure, a way for Demet to free herself from years of speculation. Others, however, believed the exact opposite, that this was an intentional, carefully timed statement meant to reach Can. One commentator boldly claimed, "Demet's confession wasn't for us. It was for him." In Italy, where Can has a massive following, the coverage was equally intense. Entertainment shows replayed the interview in prime time, with subtitles emphasizing her emotional pauses and trembling voice. Headlines screamed, "Demet admits everything, Can's silence speaks volumes." For Italian fans, who had watched Can build a career far beyond Turkey, the confession added a new layer to his story, a reminder that no matter how far he went, his past with Demet was still alive in the public imagination. Adding to the speculation was Demet's subtle behavior on social media. Just days after the interview, she posted a simple photo, a city skyline at night, with no caption. Within minutes, fans flooded the comments, interpreting it as a hidden message. "Is this about Rome?" one asked. "Is she thinking of him?" another wrote. The post received hundreds of thousands of likes before she quietly deleted it, which only fueled more theories. And then came the whispers from insiders. According to one source close to the actress, Demet had reached out to Can privately after the interview aired. The source claimed, she wanted him to hear it directly from her, not just through the media. What she said wasn't just for the cameras. It was real, and it was personal. Though unconfirmed, this rumor spread like wildfire, convincing fans that something was happening behind the scenes that neither star was ready to share. Can's silence, however, remained the most powerful part of the story. He didn't confirm. He didn't deny. And in that silence, fans found meaning. For them, it was proof that the emotions were still too raw, too real, to be dismissed with a casual statement. His absence on social media, his pensive paparazzi photos, his lack of denial, all of it became part of a larger narrative that painted him as a man deeply affected by Demet's words. By now, it was clear, Demet Özdemir hadn't just confirmed a rumor. She had reignited a fire. And whether that fire would lead to a reunion, or burn them both once again, the world was determined to watch every flicker of it unfold. The world was still reeling from Demet Özdemir's powerful confession when a new wave of speculation began. How would Yaman respond? For days, fans held their breath, waiting for a statement, a post, even a subtle gesture from the actor who had become the center of the storm. And though he remained silent, his absence spoke volumes. Paparazzi photos captured him in Rome, his usual confident smile replaced with a look of deep reflection. He was spotted sitting alone in a cafe, scrolling through his phone, his expression unreadable. For fans, those images told the story no words could. He saw her confession, one caption read. And now he's carrying the weight of it. The speculation reached a fever pitch when Can attended a charity gala in Milan. Reporters bombarded him with questions about Demet. Would he respond? Would he deny? Would he admit the truth? Can, dressed sharply as always, paused on the red carpet, adjusted his tie, and with a faint smile, simply said, "Some things are better left to the heart." That single sentence ignited the internet once again. To many, it was a confirmation. To others, it was a carefully crafted way to avoid the spotlight. But regardless of interpretation, it ensured that Demet's confession, and his reaction, would dominate headlines for weeks to come. Meanwhile, Demet herself remained enigmatic. She made no further statements, but her body language during public appearances told its own story. At a fashion event in Istanbul, she appeared radiant yet emotional, her eyes glistening as she waved to fans. When one shouted, "We support you and Can," she smiled softly and placed her hand over her heart. That moment alone went viral, convincing fans that her confession had been nothing short of genuine. Television shows across Turkey and Italy debated endlessly what this all meant. Some experts argued that Demet's confession and Can's silence were two sides of the same coin, a love story told without words. Others warned that reopening old wounds could be dangerous, a reminder of heartbreak rather than hope. But one thing everyone agreed on, the emotional power of their story had captivated the world in a way no scripted drama ever could. As fans continued to speculate, the internet was flooded with tributes. TikTok edits paired Demet's trembling voice with Can's quiet response, creating montages that brought millions to tears. Instagram fan pages posted old photos of the two stars together, captioned with phrases like "Some loves never die" and "The story continues." Even YouTube channels dedicated entire episodes to dissecting the saga, calling it the greatest love story Turkish television ever gave us. But beyond the noise, one undeniable truth remained. Demet Özdemir had confirmed what many had always believed, that her connection with Yaman was real, raw, and unforgettable. And in doing so, she reignited a flame that time, distance, and fame had failed to extinguish. The question now was not whether their love had been real, it was what would happen next. Would they see each other again, away from the cameras? Would they risk reopening a chapter that once brought both passion and pain? Or would they leave their story suspended in mystery, forever unfinished but never forgotten? For fans, the hope was stronger than ever. They saw in Demet's words and in Can's silence a reflection of something universal, the idea that true love never truly dies, even when everything else changes. It lingers in the heart, in the quiet moments, in the words left unspoken. As the dust settled, one phrase echoed across social media, repeated by millions: "Some truths are too powerful to hide. Some loves are too real to fade." And so, the legend of Yaman and Demet Özdemir continues, not as a closed chapter, but as a living story that grows with every confession, every silence, and every glance. Whether they reunite, remain apart, or let their love live on in the memories of fans, one thing is certain: their names will forever be linked by a bond too powerful to ever truly break. For now, the world waits. And as it does, the confession of Demet Özdemir remains etched into history as the moment that changed everything.